It was a contracted cycle of the guys in order to see who can figure it out. It was Conjure War. Right? Now we out of that cycle. We had to end that cycle before we can end the great cycle. Before we can close out the age of Pisces, we have to fulfill the contract that gave us the layout of what the age of Pisces entailed. We creating this shit by collective agreement from somewhere else. But when we get in here, we don't remember the role that we played in generating this reality and the cycles that goes with it. So then you have to have people come in and give you pieces to the puzzle to help you out. Right? You can go back 100 years or you can go back 1,000 years. And I can just start pointing out people that was giving us pieces to the puzzle.
Right.
Some of the people that done us dirty gave us some of the best pieces to the puzzle.
Give me an example.
The Moors. The ones who came over here and left their fezzes in the George Washington Memorial to go into the Conjure and try to take our land. They gave us the navigation equipment in mathematics to navigate the stars and use it with the sciences of Earth that we was already using. Right? When they did that, they screwed themselves. Because now they trying to tell us to disregard this high science and accept the dogma in its place. And when we seen the high science, we don't want the dogma. We want the sacred drift of knowledge that came with the mathematics. And that's what we end up getting from C. Freeman Hill, the metaphysical components of Moorish science. When you add that to the indigenous shamans and the Hayoka priests, we don't have to be taught to be a Hayoka. We don't have to be taught to be a shaman. We born that way. Now you gave us a science that can go with our natural innate artistic ability, and we can use anything to see what you're doing. Right? But most of us, when we in the Yuga state, are more likely to go along with the program of the 3D matrix and forego the responsibilities that would come to being one of the divine ones, one of the golden ones that's walking the earth to facilitate great change at specific times. Many of them run from the job at first, but they make their conditions so adverse that it pushes them right back on the path. Well, you know that you're a golden one because your blood tell you. This is why they tell you, we don't enter communication with your DNA. It's going to tell you, but you have to learn how to read your higher consciousness and translate it into 3D English because we so absorbed by three-dimensional matrix. And that's the part that don't nobody want because it requires a certain amount of work. And when people see that kind of work ahead of them, they don't realize if they take a step today, before they know it, they'll be there.
Right.
But they'd rather go work 50 years at the plant and never advance their spiritual and mental development than to advance that, work 10 years at the plant and come out and be a powerhouse that's able to change the world. Right? So ain't nothing wrong with working at the plant. It's use it for a stepping stone. Have a bigger dream that you can work toward than just being a worker.
Right.
Right. But nobody's teaching our children this. Right. Nobody's teaching them the unlimited potential that they can tap into by applying discipline and willpower. So they go on the predestined path. And a lot of them, if they get too far into the predestined path, it cuts off early. And we might experience in the 3D reality as a teenager got murdered. Or he died in a tragic car accident. We had got so far into this predestination and foregone his divinity. So now he has to reset, go back out the game. It's just like getting shot in one of them video games. You reset, you come back, and then you finish the game.
Right.
Right. So The ancient ones know this. It's the ones who are the younger gods that's here to learn on University Earth that got trapped by the bad kids in the school, the problem child that didn't want to learn nothing. They just wanted to upset the school and tried to take over. Now the dean is here, right? And he's talking to the teachers, talking about what happened to the school. I was only gone for a minute. And they saying these kids came in. We don't know where these motherfuckers came from. I think they was from the west side of Chicago, probably Cabrini Green, and they just took this motherfucker over, and the teachers couldn't do nothing because they was going upside their head. Right? Because that's basically what happened. The bad kids took over the university.
Right.
Right. So now that they took it over, the dean got to figure out a way to put the university back in order. And the only way to put it back in order is put the power back to the proper dynamic. That's the great mother. Right? So when we get into a certain frequency of energy, then that frequency will allow us to receive greater advancements from source codes that's going to be coming in.
What culture, the Mahuta, what culture is that from and what does it mean, Rod? This 6 hour window.
That's a Hindu culture.
Hindu. And
it really means the time of the gods or the time of Brahma, which is the creator.
Right.
Right. It's the time of the new beginning, the new creation. Now they have many Marutas. They come on a daily basis, but those for individuals to use it to their advantage to develop. But most of us don't know the science to it. Right. But when the great one comes, the one that lasts for 6 hours on one day, that's when all of the other cycles have been readjusted. We done went through them all. Somebody recognized it, pointed it out to the masses, and now they beginning to see that the changes is imminent. They beginning to see through the illusion of the political drama and the Hollywood theatrics. The system is using those same two fields of distraction to now start to give you the truth. Right? You see that all of the newscasters is becoming new. Right? A lot of people not paying these faces no attention. They watch the news every day and don't realize that they got new faces on major programs. That's because they're about to do what's called the big disclosure. Now, I don't know if they're going to do the disclosure Monday, but I do know that the energy shifts with these astrological events.
What should we do Monday, Rod? What should we be doing individually or collectively when this 6 hour window appears? When, like they say, in Earth is aligned at a galactic geometric line to the center of the Milky Way galaxy.
That's when you get source codes.
Right.
So it's like it's a straight open path from Big Mama to you. The most important thing is to be in that. Yeah. And the women already connected direct through the vagina. Her uterus is the microcosm of creation, which is the macrocosm, which is the direct phone line. They said Jesus on the main line.
Yeah.
What they talking about? ISIS.
Right.
The main line is the uterus. It's the portal.
Right.
You can holler in the portal on one end and somebody on the other end can hear you. It's just that you don't know they can hear you. Right, so, because that's also the symbol for nourishment. Right. Now, if you're going to be in the land of milk and honey, you got to be prepared to get squirted by a breast.
Ooh.
And shit on by a bee.
Shit on by a bee. Oh, man.
That's what happened. Beekeepers know what I'm talking about. You're going to get shit on by a bee. One of them going to sting your ass. Right. But it's the right one that sting you at the right time to activate you to move up into the forefront. Right. So when we talk about the breast, this is critical in pair bonding mother to child, and they took it out of the doula's hands and put it in Western medicine to interfere with the pair bonding process. They called us ants because they say we rally around Big Mama like ants rally around the queen.
Right.
Right? Because when we was all called to war, all tribes on deck. They came behind us when we went to fight in the Gullah Wars and slaughtered our families. Right? So we get home, we think we going back home to home, and we going home to a massacre. All you got to do is look up Native massacres. Right. They told you they massacred us. Right? Because we was kicking their ass in the Gullah War.
To get the formula.
They the ones gonna be the first recipients of the change. They gonna feel it first with women's intuition, because women intuition is a pineal connection to the portal.
Right.
Right. So Source is looking out for them the same way they look out for their child. Right. Women that was fucked up last year, they about to be all the way get right this year.
Yeah.
The energy is going to change the way that they interact with each other and with the men.
Right.
It's going to change a lot of people for the better. Some people is just going to erase them. All I can say is sorry about their damn luck.
Yeah.
They should have did their work. They flunked out. There's a whole lot of flunk outs. Right? So it's all kind of aids, assistance that you get on your journey.
Right.
Most of us overlook the old wino who's dropping jewels. He's one of the pauper gods. But because he over there drunk, you assume he has no intrinsic value that can advance your life. He just don't want to play in the game. He chooses to be at the bottom in order to hold this motherfucker up. He's strong enough to take the suffering, stronger than most of us. Yep. It's just going to get stronger and stronger. The women going to get more attractive to us, the ones that like women. As God is glow up called it, they going to be juicy than the motherfucker.
Juicy.
What did the other cultures say about the Milky Way galaxy?
The Hindus, since we're in the Hindu culture right now, what did the Hindus say about the Milky Way galaxy?
Well, it's one of the newer galaxies in the collection. Right? So it's coming into on a different frequency, and it was an isolated part of the creation where they just now in galactic time is fairly new. The Big Bang was just turning on the hologram. That's right. Yes. So now we get messages from 30 million years ago. Somebody know how to send us a message into the future from 30 million years ago. We talked about that before. Right? So if they know how to send us a message into the future, they know that at some point in the future, we're going to be advanced as they were in the past. Right? And the greatest advancement is to activate the Tesla coil-like dynamic of the women and their connection to the earth. Because we're talking about bringing heaven to earth again. We're talking about expelling the components of hell from earth. Right. So we in layman's terms or in commoners terms, we talking about bringing the golden age out of a dark age, out of the chapter of misery, going to the payout of the misery into the chapter of joy. That means all the pauper guys get up now.
Oh shit.
Right. You see winos at an alarming rate. Stop drinking wine. Crackheads stop smoking crack. Heroin addicts stop using heroin. You're like, what the hell going on? Right? It's because the pauper guys that was using those substances to keep them at the bottom, they finna get their inheritance, and then like, fuck it, let's go get paid.
Mm.
We can get another kind of high now. It's called traveling the world to see the different sights.
Right.
Pick up the love energy everywhere we go. Right? Because people are going to recognize that the pauper guys took the suffering so that the rest of them ain't have to, and then they're going to show gratitude. It's called pre-karma and the cashing in of the pre-karma.
Oh.
So the women make a grid around the planet. They forgot because the warring patriarchs removed the priestesses from their thrones. Mm-hmm. And they replaced them with this homosexual pedophile cult. Mm-hmm. Right? They run around dressed in drag, call themselves priests. Mm-hmm. You know, nobody's never noticed that all of them wearing dresses. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What priesthood don't wear dresses? Indigenous priests. The shamans don't wear dresses. They might wear a loincloth made out of grass. They might make one made out of leather, right? They might have buckskin slacks on and a buckskin jacket, but they don't wear dresses. Right. Because they know that the priestesses were sacred to the earth, and for them to be re-alerted to their power is to tie them back into the earth. And you got the symbol right there.
Oh, yeah.
You see the triple knot in the Heka?
Yeah.
Right? Those hands, those upright hands is the symbol for Heka. Heka is an ancient subset of the temple magic of Kemet, which came from over here. A lot of people think that Egypt was the university. That was Hollywood. The university was in Arizona, in the Grand Canyon, at the original temple of Isis. This is why they find Egyptian artifacts and Buddhist artifacts over there. This shit ain't nothing new. This is just another cycle.
Woo.
Right? So if we gonna ever break and snap free from the imprisoned mind program, the miseducation of the Negro, all we have to do is remember when the energy shift, we would like for our women to be in the energy of gratitude. That's it. Because they gonna be the first ones to receive the source code. So when they get your semen to make your next son, they gonna scan your DNA, and then they gonna patch in what need to be fixed for the future. Ooh, to make your son better than you was.
Ooh.
Right? That's their job. That's what women do when they gestate. They matching up genetics. They choosing traits.
Right.
Right. But because nobody's telling them what they doing, right? They don't know that when they nose swell up, they taking skin particles out of the air, reconstructing the physical body of a baby in their uterus. Mm-hmm. They don't know that because they were purposely denied the knowledge of self. This is why Elijah Muhammad was so adamant about getting knowledge of self. Knowledge of self ain't just talking about we came on no goddamn slave ship, was in slavery, and now we trying to find a way. And that's not knowledge of self. Knowledge of self is how your body works. How do your mind work? Do you know how you think that will help you learn better? That's all knowledge of self. Right? How do the outside world apply to what you experience in your internal world? Right? Because it's as above, so below, as within, so without. If you know what ails you, you know what ails the world. If you can figure out how to fix it in you, you can figure out how to solve the problem in the world. That's all it is, a game of problem solving.
Right.
Right. So when we start teaching our children, they took critical thinking and practical problem solving out of the curriculum. It was hardwired in the curriculum of our training and educational programming. Right. Critical thinking and practical problem solving is one of the first things that you impress upon a child in order for them to bring their internal greatness out, their genius within. That brilliance that the school system is stifling can be overrode by an adult who's aware that the child got a greater light within him. All he got to do is give him the rules to the game and he can handle it from there.
Right, right.
right? And that critical thinking and practical problem solving used to be K through, it used to be in all of our curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The pre-karma, that's what's when the pauper guys take on the suffering. That's when they say the first should be last and the last shall be first.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You have to be last at the close of the age because you got to be first at the opening of the new age, the ancient ones.
Right.
Right. And you have to be properly compensated according to the law of compensation. Mm-hmm. If you're not properly compensated, then you can't properly perform your function. Mm-hmm. And this is what causes the rapid decay of a society like America. The inflation undermine what a person rightfully deserved for their work, for their labor. Because of that, it caused the industrial America to begin to decay. So corporate America have to try to bandage and patch it by downsizing and coming up with new ways to get the work done.